statistics in GDEX?
Okay, I actually did engineering background, electrical electronic engineer. I start my first career with an American company, Texas Instruments, process and product engineer. But however, after a couple of years, I want to have my professional engineer. So one of the things that I need the power experience. I need high voltage experience. So I switched to apply and get a contract engineer in Tenaga National. Last time used to be Tenaga Electric. So during that few years, I find that I don't think I'm suitable to be an engineer because as a professional engineer, you need to sign a lot of the sort of recommendations or even the drawings to approve. So it is under spec, you may sign away your life. So for that, I actually decided to go to financials. So I actually become a sort of trader before that. So it doesn't work out because as a young person, I don't know what is a danger or risk, so I end up losing some money. Before I actually worked for an organization, a broker, it's OSK, so as a dealer. So I was there for 11 years as an institutional dealer. So that experience gave me a lot of opportunity to meet with entrepreneurs, to meet with the global funds, what they are looking for, and things like that. So in that sense, I also enriched myself because as a dealer, right, it's all about actually commissions. So when you bring in how much commissions, how much you're going to get. So I think within the 11 years, during the 90s, I'm at the right place at the right time. So I make enough money to start my own business. So how I actually start my business, I don't know how to start a business. So one of the things is I buy over the business. So I bought over GDEX Express. It's actually not doing too well. I didn't know about business, so I bought into a company. It's basically buy myself into bankruptcy. I bought it and I realized that the company is badly indebted now. Owns EPF something like 2 million ringgit. So I was shocked, for the first 2-3 months, just don't know what to do. But then I tell myself, you are in already, like any other entrepreneur, you got to survive this first. So the survival means I spend even the whole night, at the night hub, sorting hub, to understand every single thing that needs to be done. So I realized one thing, everything is so manual. So I think at that time, okay, I say about this whole industry, I need to retrain about the whole workforce. So I started training school, even with 30 permanent staff and 100 over contract workers. When I start the training school, at least I put the systems, the process in a very good in a very orderly manner, so that they have to follow the SOPs and all this sort of thing. So I think by doing that, the service standards become more consistent. So I think that is the beginning of the turnaround of GDEX. So within 2 years, actually the company started to make money. So I was quite surprised. And actually we are actually becoming a very high growth company, because at that time, not many companies in this industry, like last mile, all that, got a system in place. But the whole ERP is actually all sort of built within ourselves. I hire some engineers, programmers, so that, and we start to build our own system, and it became very successful. So we actually work for a lot of institution, enterprise, and say, okay, what you need is the customized solutions for you. Whatever you need, you just let us know. So that is the start of the high growth phase, where we got not enough capital. I got to go to the capital market to tap. It's quite natural for me, being from the capital market. So when I say I need money, there's a lot of bankers actually come and raise this money. 2005, GDEX, we raised about 10 million ringgit. So I had to dilute myself almost like 30%. I used to own about 90%. So after that, it became like 60%. So it continued on with the actually high growth until 2011, I think, when SingPost knocked at our doors. So they say, hey, we like the service, and can we take some shares from you? So I think some some of our partners that was with us say, hey, Teong, better let them in because so long we never cash out anything. Right? The IPO, because it's not share sales from the vendor, but actually all go to the company on new shares. So none of us cash out actually. So in 2011, when Singapore bought, I also cash out some money. Right? So get back at least my capital and maybe some earnings and things like that. So that actually moved on very, very quickly. So until 2016, this Yamato from Japan, they want to expand into this region. So they actually start to become another partner of us, having 20%. So in the nutshell, GDEX has become more institutional. So we have a board representation from both companies. It's one from Japan, one from Singapore, and basically make us to be more sort of institution-like, having policies, having governance, and also having our own direction. You see, during the time, let's say, when I is the only owner, everything is in my mind. I just do what I just, but now cannot. You have to put in the plan nicely, put policies nicely, and then we present. Even the culture, right? We have to spell it out exactly like what need to be done. So then only we can do it. For example, when we actually want to present our new philosophy 2 years back, it had to be approved by the board. So it's also written down very, very clearly.
Okay. Let me pause you there for a while. Maybe you can, because the logistics industry is very competitive, very important, and yet it's also a bit complex. No? So maybe you can help us to unpack, because you talk about last mile, but there's also the other parts of the logistics chain.
Yeah.
So maybe you can tell us the segments and then which are the ones where you specialize in.
Yeah, actually the logistics business very wide. It actually encompass basically shipping, so those containers, road transport, even this air freight, custom brokerage, fulfillment, warehousing, many other things are, on demand, just like companies like Grab, all these are still considered logistics. Or the last mile, that's what we are actually doing, to actually take an order and deliver. So our focus is basically on a couple of sectors. We start actually as a delivery person for documents. That when I first take over the business. So later on, we actually go into fulfillment, instead of warehousing, doing packing, taking orders for customers, as well as deliver their needs. But I think right now, what we are doing, even as a logistics, is start to cover into payment as well. For example, when we deliver, we have to actually get the payment from the customer's customer, and then pay back to the customers. So another thing is also involving insurance. So all these are converging. So when the logistic delivery involve insurance, involve payments, so it's all bundled together. So become more complex now.
So your focus or specialization is in last one?
Yes.
Okay. That means you don't do the other sectors? Or?
We actually doing freight forwarding as well. Freight forwarding, like for example, air freight to East Malaysia. We also do to the whole world wire integrator. So like FedEx, DHL, because we don't have this present in those countries.
Okay.
So for example, any of our customers, right, when they give the shipment to us, we cannot say, oh, we don't deliver to US. So we have to actually deliver. But all this integration is all via APIs between companies and all that. So the customers won't know, right? So they can do the tracking all the way to US, even from our air reviews.
Can you tell us, in this competitive industry, how do you stay ahead and how do you become a bit more unique and the preferred supplier for your customers?
Actually, it's very interesting. Last 4 years, 5 years ago, there's an influx of these new startups.
Yes.
New startups, what they want to do is actually taking the market share very quickly by actually go on predatory pricing. Yeah, so they actually have a big funding, because why? They can grow super fast. So one of the ways is they actually lower down the price of the last month. So some could be as low as maybe 20-30% of the cost. So they take in all the orders. So those orders that mostly go for them are those B2C orders, those like the platforms like Shopee, Lazada. A lot of them will go to them. It's an easy go. So even some of the businesses, I mean the low pricing is very, very attractive. So for us, I think how to defend against this, if you want to go on the volumes matching the low price, we'll go into red. So we can even grow faster. But then at the end of the day, for us, sustainability is very key. So we have to make some profits to grow our business as well, to invest more in talents, and also to invest in many other things. Like last 2 years, cybersecurity is a big thing. So we have to really invest a lot in cybersecurity. In terms of the IT infrastructure, you could actually invest in redundancy because of the cybersecurity and all that. So important for us to stay ahead of the game is to look into more sophisticated customization. That means what the customer needs us for, why they need us. For example, end-to-end solutions. So they want to have headache. So things like what we are doing now. For example, one of the technology company, we have to actually deliver, and then we have to examine, whether this part is actually a manufacturing fault or not. So if it's a manufacturing, we send back for them to the manufacturer. Things that we have to go beyond just being a last mile. So I think to keep us competitive, we have to do more than what it takes to just deliver.
So more added value.
More added value, like insurance service, payment service, integration. For example, our payments, we can say that customers come to us and say, I got a e-wallet, like for example, credit, no problem. I got touch and go pay, also can. I got credit, also can. So our solutions in there, we have to be more complete and more comprehensive to take over everything. So then a lot of the customers say, hey, I think this customer, this service provider is worthwhile for us to take on. So I think all this the last 3-4 years, we survive because we keep on innovating what else we can do for better customers experience.
You mentioned that you came from a corporate background where you started as an engineer and then you went into trading with SK and all that.
Yeah.
Has that corporate background helped you in your journey to
of course. I think at the end of the day, in the corporate side, I think one is the key of the things is cash flow. So a company, I think when I start taking over in 2000, I find that the company, the cash flow is very bad because the way the transactions happen, the collection, it's just way too long. For example, by the time we collect the money, it's like 8 months away. So how are we going to do that earlier? It's digitalization. How you're able to ensure that the customers understand what they have used and have and been billed. So it's very, very key. The faster you let them know, the faster they will pay you. So I think understanding on that cash flow start to actually allow us to innovate ourselves, to able to help the customers to actually understand what their usage, at the same time to help ourselves as well. I think that actually helps a lot.
I read a couple of years ago that one of the players in your industry, Nationwide Express, and they are in PN17, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So how come we got one company who's in PN17 and then we have a company like you which is profitable?
I think Nationwide, like many even like other players, because of the influx of the startups. So imagine, it's like suddenly like tsunami coming in. So your building is too low, you get drowned. So this is the situation whereby how are you going to defend against a situation whereby it's like an influx of this new player who maybe throw the price at 1/3 the cost. For example, I think
the cost means
it could be,
than the cost.
Yeah, it's a very predatory. So it's still happening, like the last, I think 1 month, there's some players advertise themselves a delivery less than $1, 90 cents or what, any part in Malaysia. I mean, there's no way, So, but then this is happening,
they just want to take market share.
They just want to take market share. But the thing is, for us is how are we going to survive this situation? So it become very key. That's why I think it keeps us thinking the last couple of years. But fortunately, we survived.
One of the advantages, of course, of having a listed company is you've got a board of directors.
Yeah.
Is that one of the ways that mean, do they give you ideas, or do they just make sure that you fulfill your compliance and corporate governance? Because we've got many crises, right? So with last 2 years we had MCO. Then in your industry, I guess you may have been impacted by what I call the Great Malaysian Floods of December, right? So what role does the board play?
Actually, our board, I think one of the major role is to assess the risk, like what are you exposed. So by putting in a better sort of governance and the risk management, I think it actually does help us. Because you see the way our strategic shareholder, for example, Simple, Yamato, we have to constantly look at our independent director that have a very high caliber. So I think, for example, our chairman is an ex-bank governor, and one of the directors is a former group treasurer of Petronas. So I think that actually does help us, because why? It just raised the bars. So of course, when we actually start to look at all the raise, how to actually reach the standards, I think very similar to what Encik Kamaro was said just now. We have to look at how to actually bring in the best talents to ensure that we actually meet all those criteria. So what we do is that we start to look at innovations. So we have an innovation division that was being formed, and also we also look at how are we going to move very fast in technologies. So we have quite many startups. For example, we have this Beeline talking about social commerce. We have an InsurBee, how actually we move the insurance into the platform so that we can do things faster, integration with the customers and things like that. So by actually putting us into a very high sort of expectation, we start to re-innovate ourselves and remodel our business to cater for the future.
Okay. So you talked about attracting talent even to the board, right?
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you get a Bank Negara, ex-Bank Negara governor to join you?
Actually, sometimes I don't know. I think maybe this is my lucky star. I always seems to have a lot of them. So I just don't know. Something I felt that maybe I'm a bit luckier. Yeah.
Wow. I don't mind that, man. Attracting the formal.
You see, even the people that actually work with you, right? So they come from very diverse background, and actually GDEX culture somehow attract them. So I have a lot of this type of opportunity to actually grow. So partly because of the people, my team. So in GDEX, of course, there's a lot of empowerment. So we actually put in a certain criteria and empower to them, so that so for me it's easier to manage that way.
Can you tell us a bit about your culture? I mean, I guess you have a strong management team.
Yeah, our philosophy is very lengthy. We comprise of the core values and also the management principle. But the gist of it actually is our core competency. The core competency, we actually put in like 4P and 1S. So it's very, so that the whole company easy to remember. So I think one of the difficult things is that people find very hard to remember things. So when you say 4P, the P stands for people, process, platform, product. And the S is actually speed. So when you look at the people, we have to get the right people, right talent to do the right job. So I think that's very clear. Then when you come to the people, how good they are, they have to come out with the process. So if the process is not there, then it's not complete. So after the process is done up, we need to have the platform. Why the platform? In today's world, people want transparency. So if we have the platform, so to a lot of customers and internal, the integration, the understanding is there's no more dispute. Because it's a platform. White is white, black is black. So that type of thing. And once that is done, your product is more defined. There's more trust there. And of course, with the platform, you also document the speed, what time you deliver, everything is there. So I think having this thing that is defined, it actually make the whole company more harmonious in terms of understanding and all that. Because our company, like for example, we have almost like 4,005 full-time employees in Malaysia alone. So our investment in Vietnam is also thousands of people. And together with sort of agents and all that, plus Indonesia, it will be 20,000 people working for the group. So it's not easy if we don't have actually a simple understanding and the platform, so that I mean, you go to 100,000, a million, no difference, right? So that type of thinking.
Okay. So you get the foundation and basics right,
Yeah.
and you duplicate.
Yeah, like I say all these things, you also have to get approval from the board. So simple thing, the whole process to get it endorsed like 1-2 years. So I have to actually respect my partners in Japan. I go there and tell them why we need to do this. A bit longer process, but I think it's better, like, the understanding from the strategy shareholder. They know exactly where I'm coming from. Yeah, things like that.
Okay. So is there? I suppose there's synergy, right? Having a partnership with people like Yamaha. Would you say the Japanese customers tend to come to you? Or?
Yeah, I think on that thing, I think we still our own performance. Yeah, doesn't mean that Japanese will come to us, because at the end of the day, it's what value we deliver to them. So I think, but continue on with that. I think we will definitely get a lot more customers that need our service.
Can you share some insights into your management style? Because not only you have a company that's listed and you have compliance factors, but you're also running regional business as well. So how do you apportion your time? What's your management style?
Okay, I think one of the things is that before we do everything, we got to actually plan out the roadmap. For example, the last 2 years, we have to start to think right now, for example, our turnover is 400 million. So my board actually asked me, how are you going to hit 1 billion? How are you going to hit 2 billion? So I was telling them, if I need to hit 1 billion or 2 billion, can I change the business model? Not only doing just the last mile, but I have a whole ecosystem to look at. See, why not you present to us? So actually, we start to actually re-look at where are the areas that we can further invest, because after all, we got close to 300 million cash sitting there.
Wow.
We don't have borrowings.
Okay.
So I think it's an opportunity for us how to actually scale up faster.
Off the record, is that a buy signal?
No lah. I think the thing is we are all into the unknown.
Okay.
So I think that everything is a challenge. For me, everything is a life and death. So you just have to do.
Okay, very interesting. So you mentioned this thing about creating an ecosystem. Can you
So okay, first thing is that over the last, let's say 20 odd years, we ask ourselves, what is the real strength of GDEX? So our real strength is we're able to converge requirement. Let's say, for example, a seller who sell on TV shopping, they have this sort of online sales. They have a physical sale, physical stores. So we have to do everything right there and then deliver for them, collect the cash on that. So we find that our process engineering is very strong. Our innovations are very strong. And also we are able to build systems very, very fast. Because to do that, we have to have an internal team to actually build the integration, able to sort of integrate with our customers as if that we are their departments. So things like that. So over the years, you say, hey, having this type of competency, any business that require this type of business, maybe it's part of our ecosystem. I think one of the natural things is technology or IT service companies, So it's part of that ecosystem. I think that's why a few years ago we invested in one company, Red Bikes. So they are actually doing this point of sales, which is cloud-based. So it's very, very scalable. They have even customers in Canada, in Vietnam, Indonesia, all over the world. But Malaysia is still the biggest one because we really haven't come to the point how to actually market this service to the world.
So you're saying this POS company called Red Bikes?
Yeah.
It's now part of you? Or?
Yeah, it's actually a part of us, but actually we have the intention to bring it to the group. Now it's actually an associate. I think this is one of the things that is keep on actually to get the partners to really believe that GDEX is the way to grow because we are all region. I think sometimes partnerships, even associates and all that, we can't take for granted. We have to win their trust, we have to earn their trust, to say, hey, you better on board. And then there's a lot of service providers that are working with us. So they will say, I think GDEX is a good partner. So we earn it that way. Yeah.
Okay. So apart from IT, any other areas that
okay,
partners?
Good brands. Good brands could be something like for distribution. So in terms of a certain there are many areas that we are actually looking at. So currently, the other area of expansion is that we actually need to actually synergize our logistics. So these are the couple of conditions and criteria that we will consider.